What's the average cost of the degree? 5-10 lakhs? So you're telling me that 300 people here, 300 into 10 lakhs, 30 crores has been wasted in this room alone. Nike lost $25 billion in one day just by trying to make everything data-driven. Sometimes if you have a bad product, you're just running random marketing, you are starting the user on a journey to go end up buying your competitor product. How many of you think hard work leads to success? Sometimes your parents say, right, if you work very, very hard, you'll become very successful. I don't think that's true. Most marketing managers, just because they want to protect the reputation of their boss, they want to get a raise, this, that, they want to make it measurable. They do the measurable thing. There are lots of people who are successful and don't know why they're successful. And I think knowing why you're successful is a way to make it repeatable. Otherwise, it's like random luck. You run a YouTube channel and you do 300 videos a year. You don't know which of those videos is getting you sales. You can get like absolutely crap 10 million views. But is that going to change anything? Is that going to sell tickets? I don't think so. Today I want to take on an important topic, and it's very important if you're in the field of marketing, distribution, content, etc. We'll get a little bit tactical today. And this is a video I've been meaning to make for a long time because there is, especially some of the best marketers that I've met in specific companies, they always understand this topic at a very different level than most people who just get into marketing, which is how do you attribute things? And it's also a very useful life skill. Attribution means what was the thing that was responsible for your success, right? If you let's say made a sale, if you made a sale of let's say Diet Coke, which exact ad did someone see, or which exact celebrities, because of which celebrity or because of which specific creative, like which converted you into buying a Diet Coke? We all know that actually it's a lot more complicated, right? It's not just you look at a Diet Coke and you look at an ad and you say, today I'm going to order a Diet Coke because I saw this ad. It's a bunch of different factors, right? And I think because we work in the arena of YouTube, attribution is very important. And I want to tell you everything I know about attribution, all the problems, all the common pitfalls. And this is also very useful for life because it's the same rules through and through. Anyway, so we're going to learn today how to attribute things correctly and why I think attribution is a secret key to success, right? Because there are lots of people who are successful and don't know why they're successful. And I think knowing why you're successful is a way to make it repeatable. Otherwise, it's like random luck, right? Next slide. Again, if you are successful, why are you successful? If you're a failure, why are you a failure? And I think people get this very wrong. I was speaking to a company. We were looking at acquiring a company recently. I was speaking to the founder. And the founder said, well, we made some 10 crores of sales based on, 1,000 leads. And I asked him, okay, so why are you shutting down or letting it go? And his thing was that, well, actually, market size is this, or market doesn't care about this. I mean, there are a lot of things that the founder told me, but I asked him a simple question. Instead of 1,000 leads, what if you had 10,000 leads? Would you make 10x the revenue? He was like, yeah. I said, what if you had 100 times that? How much would you make? And he saw it. He saw the math. He's like, yeah, it could be very, very large if I had more leads. But then again went back to, okay, but actually, market size is this, that, whatever. Now, sometimes that's true, but I think in that specific business, because I understand that space well, I think it was just a function of the person doesn't have enough leads, but in their head, they've attributed to the wrong things. And I see this in a lot of people's lives as well, right? Like I see this in a lot of creators, for example. If a creator is involved with a project, any project, even if the creator has done nothing for the project, let's say they own some equity in some company and they've done nothing for it. If the project becomes successful, somehow they start believing that they were the ones that made it successful. I was the differentiator. I made the thing happen. So I've seen the opposite side of this as well. And I just want to go into how you should think about it. And also, like another pattern you'll see with a lot of marketing companies is there'll be, marketing in companies especially is done by groups of teams, right? Like for example, when you guys work on YAS and you work with a client and you have let's say 7-8 people in the pod, everyone at the end of the day when the channel does well will put the hand up and मैं किया, मेरा काम था, मेरा editing था इसलिए ये चला. Some guy will be like, नहीं, मेरा motion graphics था इसलिए चला. Some guy will be, नहीं, I wrote the script. So it's like, who do you really attribute this to? And I've seen in marketing departments, there are some people who, some projects where, some big campaign where there'll be hundreds of people involved. Like in VFX, you'll see this, right? Like a film will give the project to like 5 different VFX firms and all of them will claim they did all the VFX for the film. So attribution is very tough. And even when hiring people, knowing, like when you see people's CVs, when they contributed to something, if you don't know how to pick out what did this person really do and how critical were they in the project, I don't think you'll do very well. Next slide. Like I said, marketing managers have a big attribution problem. And the problem is this. You all know Dyson, the brand? Vacuum cleaners? Anyone owns a Dyson vacuum cleaner? Okay, very few people. Actually, Diet Coke is a good example of this. Everyone's drank a Diet Coke or a Coke. Which ad converted you? Which ad, which YouTube video, which video made you buy this? Okay, someone says Elon Musk, okay. Just a random reel. You saw the reel and then ordered a Diet Coke?
Like a guy was promoting it too much. Like he was just obsessed with it and it kind of made him want to try it.
Okay, somebody says he was obsessed with it, so he made it try it. But I'll tell you the best brands in the world. The worst brands in the world sell on something called ROAS. You know what ROAS is? Return on ad spend. I spent 10 rupees on an ad. Guy bought my product. I made 20 rupees. Difference is 10 rupees. And that's how they scaled the business. These are like moatless businesses, right? Because that ad cost will go up over time. And it just becomes harder and harder to get a new audience to buy because they don't know enough about your brand. Yeah, if you've seen Dyson or you've seen A16Z, you don't know which piece of content made you a fan. You don't know whether it's that billboard, whether it was the store, like with Apple products, right? Like, which is the exact ad? It's not like you saw one billboard and said, "Ab main Apple kharidunga and buy it right now." You don't do that. So they have a big problem and they don't know how to attribute. And I think it's the root of all evils in marketing. It's the root of all evils in content. And I think misattributing things gets you in a lot of trouble. Next slide. And I think one problem with a lot of marketing managers in India, and this is mostly because a lot of marketing managers, especially in startup in India, come from tech. So they are more data science and measurable driven. And also it's easy to report measurable stuff, right? If you do a YouTube video, if you run a YouTube channel and you do 300 videos a year, you don't know which of those videos is getting you sales if you're selling a product on that. You don't know which of the 300 videos would sell something for you. But if you run an ad, you can clearly say, I spent this, I got this. Believe it or not, most marketing managers, just because they want to protect the reputation of their boss, they want to get a raise, this, that, they want to make it measurable, they do the measurable thing. But I am trying to tell you, and what we have learned from 100 years of, just everything from TV ads where it's very hard to measure kya ho raha hai, to the advertising world that we live in today, I think this kind of marketing will get you in trouble. ROAS marketing over the long run. Performance marketing will get you in trouble, right? Next slide. And a good example of this is Nike. You all know Nike? Do you know that Nike lost $25 billion in one day in market valuation just by trying to make everything data-driven? Nike invested billions into something that was less effective but easier to measure versus something that was more effective but less easy to measure. Do you know Nike changed as a brand? Earlier they used to do these, they used to get the best athletes and make them, show. They used to celebrate running. They used to celebrate sports. But they switched and they said, no, we'll go very tactical, we'll go very measured. And obviously, it became a less aspirational brand. The minute you make everything measurable and you're trying to sell one specific shoe ka unit, audiences can see that. Unit bej raha hai. It becomes, there's no story, there's no connect. And half the things we buy is because of story and connect. So you lose that. And then they did that because it's easier to measure and they lost so much money. And I'll tell you, one of the Nike, I think one of the leadership team members put this out on LinkedIn. What happened in 2020? Well, the brand team shifted from brand marketing to digital marketing and from brand enhancing to sales activation. Okay? Because of that, the CM of the time made few epic moves. Shift from create demand to serve and retain demand. That meant most of the investment were directed to those who are already Nike consumers or members, because you'll realize over time, if you set a pixel, if anyone's familiar, if you set a pixel on your website and you know a person has come and abandoned cart or done some engagement with your website, ek shoe ka icon click kiya hai, you can track that now on Facebook and Google. I hope you know this. And they're like, we'll only go after these people. They've shown some intent, right? They've already gone, put one shoe in their cart, maybe they're not converted. Let's go target these people. It's a very measurable way to do this. You can actually very cleanly say, okay, if I spend this much, I'll make this much. It's very easy to do this. Nike started doing that. And they started doing a lot of programmatic advertisement investment, right? So anyway, because of that, Nike invested a material amount of dollars, billions, into something that was less effective but easier to be measured versus something that was more effective but less easy to be measured. It's an impressive waste of money. And I'll tell you one thing, it's a cat and mouse game, right? You're running more and more and more ads. That ROAS today, you spend 10 rupees, made 20 rupees. Tomorrow, that ad cost, because everyone's running ads, it's the easy thing to do. You're going from 10 rupees, now it's gone to 15 rupees, then it's gone to 16 rupees, suddenly it's 22 rupees. And you're still making only 20 rupees as the unit. Then you say, shit, we're not making enough money, let's increase the price of the unit. So the unit price of whatever you're selling goes from 20 rupees to 25 rupees to make up for this. And over time, your unit costs keep going up. You become a worse and worse, objectively worse business. And then your ad costs are constantly going up. And just to maintain the ad cost, you're increasing unit cost. That's how things become expensive. And it's been happening in India for a very, very long period of time, right? And then for a while, we start getting Dhonis and the Ranveer Singhs in the ads saying that, if you get a Dhoni or a Ranveer Singh, the cost goes down from, 10 rupees to maybe slightly lesser, right? Even though technically celebrity advertising is still this brand awareness, still comes into brand awareness camp, right? But people are using it like ROAS. They were like, we'll spend 1 rupee, make 2 rupees back. And it's like, in my opinion, this is the reason why a lot of startups in India are unprofitable, right? And are continuing to be unprofitable because you're going after the absolutely measurable thing. And the only solution there, because the costs keep climbing up, is to keep increasing the cost of goods. And over time, you can't increase the cost of goods beyond a certain amount because the customer will not pay in a country like India. You get stuck at 25 rupees as the sale price. Your cost of advertising goes to 30, 35. You become a fundamentally unprofitable company. But the best companies in India, and there's a podcast I did with Nitin Kamath. I don't know if any of you have watched it. There's a podcast I did maybe a year ago or 2 years ago with Nitin Kamath. And in the ending, he says something very profound. He says that actually Zerodha has had no cost of acquisition for a very long time. And they don't run ads. And he's like, our entire margin is exactly the cost of our advertising. The cost of advertising and the cost of whatever they would have spent if they didn't have organic reach, they would have had to spend that in acquiring customers. They would have made zero profit. Physics wala, it's entirely YouTube-driven cost of acquisition. There's no cost of, buying a customer. So the YouTube strategy, and a lot of companies realize this, right? Like a lot of cool companies in India, first they do a lot of YouTube, they get very big, and then they say they raise money. And they're like, hum professional, and a lot of edtechs have done this. Hum professional company ban gaye ab. Ab hum sirf celebrity ke saath ad karenge. We'll only do celebrity ads. And then they do celebrity ads, they forget their YouTube roots. And then of course, celebrity ads and running it as performance advertising just keeps increasing in cost over time. It's senseless. It's an exercise in stupidity. But they do it, and it's a very good short-term thing. And don't get me wrong, right? Like you need to sell units in the short term while you build brand awareness. And there's another tweet I saw by someone who runs, I think AppSumo CEO once said this, right? He's like, I think, or Jason Lemkin, one of these people said this, which is that in the early days, all marketing needs to be performance marketing. But as you get to a certain scale, all marketing needs to be top of the funnel brand marketing. How do I build awareness about my brand and let customers come to you? Anyway, next slide. Have you seen this on websites? How do you hear about this? This is how people track, most marketers still track where you came from. I have a quick question to everyone. How many of you fill this in accurately? How many of you don't fill this in accurately? Put your hands up. How many of you just click on the first thing and just be like, next? Do you know one thing I've learned about YouTube or Instagram? Most people are running very low context. The right way to model your user is not, oh, the person is like, sitting and watching your reel and then like paying attention. That's not that. They're sitting on the toilet, one hand's on the spray, other hand is, on the phone, their mom is calling them, they're distracted and busy. And if you show them something like this during this period, because most of the time they're in the metro, they're like doing like 5 things at once. They are going to press the wrong thing. And this error, it's not like 1 or 2% ka error. It is like, it meaningfully changes, your error. And you're assuming this is the source of truth. If let's say everyone clicks on television or like random things, you'll actually believe that, oh, our TV ads are working, or this is working, or that is working. This is not the way you track people, right? And if people are using this, especially in this era where everyone's busy, maybe 5 years ago they were paying more attention to what they're clicking on. Maybe 5 years ago they were paying more attention to what they were clicking on. But today they're absolutely not paying attention, and whatever data you're getting from this is wrong, right? And I'm not even kidding. Like I've sat with so many brand managers, and we have dug through the data, and we're like, And they know it's wrong. Some of them, the best ones, are like, I don't believe this. And more importantly, the best companies don't do this. Next slide. I'll give you another example of this, which is referral and affiliate programs, right? And I think I'll give you a good example of Zerodha. And I remember this because somebody from Zerodha once told me this, right? Which is that earlier when they used to run affiliate programs, which is, hey, go open a Zerodha account, and you'd give that person who referred another person to open a Zerodha account some percentage of earnings of the next guy, right? When they did that, sometimes what would happen is a person would watch one video of an affiliate driving traffic, and then the same day, they'd watch a different affiliate. They'd watch 2 different personal finance videos. And both the videos would have Zerodha links. But maybe the person clicked on the second video. Maybe the person clicked on the first video, came to the website, didn't convert, and then they'd go back, watch another video, see the second person talk about it, and click and convert. Now, I want to ask you a question. Isn't it unfair for the first person who made that video to send you to the website in the first place, which gave you the first look at the Zerodha platform? Isn't it unfair to that person if that was part of the conversion? That is part of the convincing that you should start up, using this platform to save your money and invest wisely. Right? If I've watched 3 ads, but all 3 were important in my decision, but trust me, when you watch like 5, 10 different pieces of content, all are important in your decision making. Would you only calculate the last one that converted you, or the other 8 ones that also helped you make a decision? And this is the fundamental problem behind all affiliate. And Zerodha has at least from what I've heard, has a complicated way to solve this. So there's no easy way to solve this. Anyway, next slide. And that's where we get into the idea of proxy attribution, which is what good brand managers do, but it's still wrong, which is that I will try to use some proxy, some other way of figuring out. Okay, and it could be as manual as meeting people in an event, like something with more accuracy, right? Maybe, I've seen that on Netflix does this very well, right? Like, do you know how they commission new shows? Does anyone know how Netflix commissions new shows or new TVs, new movies? They'll buy a movie, and they need to make sure on their mathematics that if I buy this movie for 10 crores, am I able to at least make 10 crores of new subscriptions? It's that, right? Is the movie interesting enough and attract? Every movie for them is a marketing campaign, believe it or not. Every movie, they can, if they're like, if I put a little bit of advertising on it in catalog, will it get a person to convert? But they also know that sometimes it's just not one movie that makes you convert, it's multiple of these that's having that library. Netflix has this and this and this that makes you convert. Another example of this is, have you seen consoles? Have you heard of something called console exclusives? Specific games made for specific consoles. Okay, PlayStation has God of War and Spider-Man. And believe it or not, all those console exclusives, the reason Sony themselves spends money making those happen is they know it requires a certain catalog of games to get players in. Sometimes people buy the PlayStation just to play Spider-Man in the past. Now it's changed. Now you can get Spider-Man on the PC as well. But this really mattered during a specific era. And I think what we need to really learn is something called proxy attribution. Next slide. I'll give you a very good example of this, right? I did 2 ads last year on my channel, right? I did one for Mumbai Tech Week, which is an event, and the other one was for NVIDIA's GTC, okay? And as you can see, Instagram has no way to do attribution. You can just get views, right? Kitne views aaye video pe, and let's say the first one would have done some 300,000 views, the second one did 274,000 views. But to me, what is important, proxy attribution. And I think something we have learned on Instagram, the measure of intent is sharing. Sharing is a far better proxy attribute of Instagram on, is this interesting, than views. Here's an example. On the NVIDIA video, we got 14,000 likes. That doesn't matter at all. People sometimes they're brain dead, they'll move on to the next thing. It's got 7.6K shares. Why does somebody share an event with another person?
Because they want to go.
Exactly. It's in the DMs, right? Hey, you should go to this event. Or chale, event chale. I don't know what they're typing in the DMs. I just can see one value which is shares. Okay, and this one has 3.1K. So a little less interesting as an event, but still a significant number. So these are what we call proxy metrics. And therefore, I feel like when brand managers go out there and just say, hey, we got 1 million views on this campaign or 10 million views on the campaign, you can get like absolutely crap 10 million views. Today, if you just want to get 10 million views on Instagram and I target like literally the worst audience, the lowest CPM audience, you can get 10 million views. But is that going to change anything? Is that going to sell tickets? I don't think so. And I'll tell you how I found out this. How I found out whether we're useful or not. I actually went to Mumbai Tech Week. I was there and the entire audience was mine. I was like, oh, a big chunk of this audience, because you could feel it, right? You go there and they're like, hey, I came because I saw your reel. Or, hey, Varun, I know you, blah, blah, blah. I saw them in the event and they're like, oh, okay, this works. Actually, before this, I was not fully convinced on influencer marketing. I was like, does it really work? But then the minute you meet them in person, you're like, these are real people who came from online, offline. Then it changed my mind on it. Next slide. Do you also know that on Instagram and YouTube, clicking links is not normal behavior? Like, have you ever clicked on a link on Instagram? Do you even see links? Story sometimes. But even on story, if you click the link, it'll open in a, that Instagram browser. It doesn't open in a normal browser, right? Links are deboosted on Twitter. If you put a link in the first post on Twitter, it gets deboosted. Okay? So how do you attribute? अगर मैं campaign किया और उसका link डाला, इसका इधर जाओ और ये click करो. How do you attribute it? Nobody has a very good answer to this. And I'll tell you how some brand manager, have you heard of coupon code system? Hey Varun, I'll give you a coupon code, Varun1000. Go click on the link, tell your followers, okay, they can't click on a link, so tell your followers to go to the platform and type in Varun1000. I think it's absolute rubbish, and I don't think it's the way people buy at all. I'll tell you how people really buy. And you have all done this, okay? Let's say you're buying a new phone. All of you have bought a phone. All of you have a phone. I'll tell you exactly what the process is. Let's say you saw an influencer talk about a phone. Some new phone that came out, he's put it out there and he said, look, this is an amazing phone. Now you're interested. Like, I need a new phone. This looks interesting. Isme ye zoom hai, whatever, some 5 features you like. You're like, okay, this celebrity stock. You're interested. But are you the kind of person who will go buy it the very next day? I'm asking that probably 300 people in this room. How many of you have snap bought a phone? 0. What you have instead done is you'll open YouTube and you'll be like, blah, 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 phone reviews. Correct? Step 1, you'll watch reviews. Then you'll see what are the alternatives possible. You'll be like, I know about this one brand, let's say brand A. Let me go see brand B ka ye phone kaisa hai. And you'll check the reviews of that also. You'll check the specs of that. Then you'll see brand C ka, you'll see reviews. Correct? You'll compare all 3. You'll watch YouTube videos of all 3. You'll watch an MKBHD video of 1, 2, and 3. Then ultimately, you'll forget about it. You'll be like, abhi paisa nahi hai, next month karunga. So 30 days you're holding on to it. You're just like, I'm not going to buy. Then after 30 days, your paycheck comes in. You're like, now I'll buy. Okay, which of these 3 should I buy? Now a 4th competitor has come in. You'll watch their video also. Then you'll be like, which of these 4 should I buy? Then finally, that decision you make is a gut decision, correct? No matter how much you save, have you, every single time when you bought something, have you bought something with the best specs? That's not true. Otherwise, Apple wouldn't be selling the kind of units in India that it does, right? Apple never has the best specs except for maybe compute. In there, there are better alternatives right now at cheaper prices. Ultimately, you buy on status, satisfaction, how you'll feel, etc., right? But this is the buyer's journey. It's not a snap buy journey. Unless you're buying a 200 rupees, nail cutter or nail polish or something like that. Every journey, every buyer's journey is a long journey of being convinced. Correct? Why the hell do people run ROAS ads? Right? Sometimes I will see someone advertising and I'll just be like, you are making your competitor, like if weak competitors advertise against stronger competitors, unless they have very strong positioning and their marketing is really well thought through, you are just feeding the bigger competitor. Because people will compare services or products. They will always go and be like, okay, this guy is giving me this quote, or this, whether it's a services company or if I'm buying this product, this guy is giving me, this is the price of the product, let me check the other 3 products. Sometimes if you have a bad product and your marketing, you're just running random marketing, you are starting the user on a journey to go end up buying your competitor product. I hope you realize that. I hope brands also realize that. Anyway, And that's why the coupon code system doesn't work, right? Because if you do coupon code system, no one's going to snap by. And a month later, they will anyway go to Coupon Dunia or one of those platforms, check for 15 coupons, they'll use Honey. People are sophisticated, especially the people who have the money to buy a phone or have the money to buy a 5,000, 8,000 rupees shoe. I'll tell you how we really attribute, okay, before we get into this, right? Which is, I think, the only way to attribute is something like I like to call qualitative attribution. And it requires a really honest person. It's so hard to tell which of your things worked, which of your activities work. And it requires a very honest, unbiased person to go in and be like, I'm listening to the users, and from what I hear, this is what worked. That's the only way. I've not found a better way. I'm sorry, but that's the only way. And maybe at massive scale, some data will emerge that's useful, but usually most companies are not at that like crazy Apple level scale where they can extract information from just the data, right? It has to be this. Get on the phone call and call some buyers, people who also saw the campaign, whatever you did. Ask them why or why not they purchased or engaged. We're getting to old school surveys. And my opinion is companies need to do this in-house. This is the main task of a company selling a product. You need to know कि क्यों खरीद रहे लोग? Why are people buying your product? Why are people buying your service? You absolutely need to know to the T why it happens. And you have to use your eyes, ears, and brains. It's very easy to be driven into random narratives. Next slide. Now, why is this useful? This attribution problem exists in life also. How many of you think your degrees got you here? Can we turn one of the cameras to the people? 0. They're all making money. Then why did you do the degree? So you're telling me, what is the average cost of the degree, guys, in this room? 5-10 lakhs per annum? Roughly? Give me some numbers, huh?
More like the total, I'd say.
10 to 12 lakhs. How much are your degrees? 15? 10? Or bolo? So you're telling me that 300 people here, 300 into 10 lakhs, 30 crores has been wasted in this room alone. Right? Right? Yes or no? Now outside of this room, how much has been wasted? Which is why I think, and of course, I can't blame you as a kid. Your parents put pressure on you to go do a degree. I get all of that. But in general, I think attribution is so important because just like the degree decision, what if I told you there are decisions you're making in life right now that have nothing to do with your success in the future? But you are thinking it might. Motion graphs is a very good example, right? Whenever an editor comes and says, "Mujhe motion graphics karna hai, ye wo," I'm like, it has no correlation to how much more money you'll make in the next few years. Zero correlation. But yet you do it. You're attributing the wrong thing. You're like, if I get better at this, maybe this is the handle that increases money. It doesn't. It's important to know which of those things it is, which of the handles it is that increases the amount of money you make. And I think we do this a lot, right? We do poor attribution to medications. Okay? Sometimes people will eat some ancient thing and they'll be like, isse mera ye cure ho gaya. But maybe at the same time they just got into adulthood and puberty hit and the hormones changed and they outgrew asthma or whatever. Poor attribution to foods. If you have a food allergy, it's so hard to tell which food, because anything you buy, there'll be some extra additive. Like the worst thing that can happen to you in a country like India is some additive. You're allergic to some additive, one of those small like flavorings or something. You'll spend years trying to find out what you're allergic to. It's very difficult. Okay? And lastly, I think it's also poor attribution to why or why not something worked. In reality, we all know this. Ultimately, the reason something works is the multifactorial reason. Nobody likes hearing this. But there's no one single thing you did in your life that might make you very successful. Sometimes there are, and we'll talk about that. But it's about finding this cluster of things. Like Charlie Munger calls, I've spoken about this before, right? Lollapalooza effects. Can you find 4 or 5 things going in the same direction that you want to go and have them, incorporate them all in your life? Next slide. The reason you need to understand attribution is attribution allows you to appreciate risk better. Right? Actually, let's talk about the risk-reward trade-off of having a degree. There are 30 crores wasted in this room. We just calculated together. What is the risk you took? It's 10 lakhs or 12 lakhs or whatever it is. What is the reward you got? Because of the degree, zero, right? But if you wrongly attribute and say, my degree got me this job, either, then for you the risk-reward ratio might make sense. Because you'll make that money in some amount of time. This is the reason attribution really matters. What is the thing I'm doing right now? Like, I'll give you a very good example of this. In my last company, we overbuilt technology. We were a software as a service company. We said, if we add one more feature, users will come. If we add this specific tipping feature, users will come. If we build, WebRTC based live calling, then if somebody's acquiring us tomorrow, they'll value this at a higher amount because we custom built our technology. All the wrong attributions we were making in our head. In India, that's not why acquirers buy companies. Acquirers buy revenue. Most acquirers buy revenue. I think more than anything, it allows you to set up correct proxies. You can't easily measure these things, but you can at least set up a proxy. You can avoid skipping the hard work because sometimes when you do wrong attribution, look for shortcuts. And not miss out on good opportunities. It allows you to promote better talent and credit the right people. The thing I hate the most, and it's like, I just don't know how as a company we solve this, which is, man, sometimes talent will do something in a team, and they'll be part of like a team, okay? There'll be like 5-6 people in the team, but the guy will come and be like, maine sab kiya. And it's so difficult because I'm always like, so are you saying the editor didn't edit the video? Maybe it's a writer, right? So are you saying the editor didn't edit the video? Yeah, but that's not the important part. My writing is the important part. Sometimes the person might come and be like, it might be a DOP and be like, no, actually my camera angles, my camera angles or the shots made the video good. But I'll tell you something, we all know this about the best videos we've watched. I'm just talking about video because everyone here understands it. The best videos we've ever seen or we've made, they're all team efforts. Yes or no? The best projects I've worked on in my life, the game for example, they're all excellent team projects. Everyone's pulling their weight. There is no one hero superstar. Right or wrong? Right? And that's why I think it allows you to promote better talent, credit the right people. Because otherwise what happens is the loudest people get the most credit. And I think lastly, it surfaces reliable, repeatable formulas which allow you to scale a business. There are some things that, like for example, the argument I have with a lot of people is YouTube works. YouTube is a great acquisition mechanism. And a brand probably will do YouTube for a while, they'll get to 400-500K, they'll be like, isse ROI kya hai? My point is always, do you know now when I hire people, I just put up a story. I mean, we use LinkedIn as a company, but for me, I just put up a story, I'll get like 2,000 applicants, best applicants possible. If I need to get sales, I just put up a story saying, hey, this is a product we're doing or this is a service we're doing, anyone wants to try any pilot. Anyone wants to pilot it. We'll get 10-20 customers. So it's very clear that me having followers and a very specific type of follower gives me a lot of these rewards that makes running a company easier, allows me to save money because I don't need to have, too many people in hiring. I don't need to, I can do everything at much cheaper. But brands will be like, but I'm only thinking about sales. Or they'll be like, हर एक वीडियो में अब, हमारे brand के बारे में बात करो. Right? So these things I think are very important because you have to tease out reliable, repeatable formulas which allow you to scale a business. Next slide. And I think in general, better attribution, recognizing proxies help you lead a better life. And if all of you sat down and be like, what is the number one problem in life? Maybe one of you you write down and you're like, okay, what's my biggest problem in life? Actually, my biggest problem is there's a guy who's in my roommate or whatever, who's constantly negative. Whatever. And because of that, that negativity is coming to my head. Or one of you might be like, my biggest problem in life is ABCD. And I bet you haven't done this. Or you're attributing wrongly. I think in general, it's very useful to do attribution well, right? It's a marketing problem, but it's also a life problem. Next slide. How many of you think hard work leads to success? It's an attribution thing, right? Like, we've heard it so much, hard work leads to success, right? Here's what I think. I think it's one of the factors, but definitely not the only factor. Otherwise, laborers will be very wealthy. anyone doing manual effort, the oil rigging people, there's so many people doing hard work in the world. Clearly, hard work is not that correlated with financial success. But if you look at actual people who are successful, a lot of them also work hard. So it might be one of the factors, definitely not the only factor. So whenever sometimes your parents say, right, if you work very, very hard, you'll become very successful. I don't think that's true. And I think it's bad advice to give people. It should be like hard work is one of the conditions, but there's other things that you're missing, that other things you need to attribute to that is responsible for your success. Next slide. Some other things. If you build it, they will come. Right? Poor attribution. The best product wins. Poor attribution. Talent is everything. Poor attribution. Follow your passion and the money will follow. Poor attribution. Capital scales any business. Poor attribution. Next slide. And I see this in the comments a lot, right? People think money is the end all be all of everything. If you have money, you'll be able to build a big thing. That's not true at all. Money has one of the factors, but definitely if money is the only thing that ended up helping you build big businesses, ROAS wouldn't exist because we started with zero. And more than that, there's so many businesses that have raised hundreds of millions of dollars and gone to zero. And I think the biggest set of problem makers here are business case study people. Okay? Business case study are sensational. You've seen business case study creators on the internet. We used to create business case studies many years ago. I think their job is to be sensational, right? Which is, ye kiya, ye move kiya, ye twist tha, isliye successful ho gaya. Correct? You've seen this? It's always very sensationalized. Do you know what the true secret behind all businesses is? I'll tell you what the true attribution is. It's just these three things. Find an untapped market, hire good talent and execute well, stick around long enough to reap the benefits. Just don't die. That's it. These are three things that matter most in a business. Any trick, any move you do, your competitors can easily copy. So in general, I think that it's important to simplify, like attribution also allows you very much to simplify your life. Because it allows you to compress all the noise and be like, this happened at the same time this happened, but correlation is not causation. But this is not the only reason that this company became successful. Every founder I've met is these three. There are exceptions, of course, but it's mostly this. Next slide. What are some hidden things in your life you should attribute your life state to? If you're succeeding, what are the reasons you are succeeding? If you're failing, what are the reasons you're failing? Write it down. It's a brilliant, way to think about life. Trust me on this. So I want to quickly summarize. I think people on the internet attribute things wrongly. And I think people don't make, from the marketing perspective, people don't make buying decisions very, in the way of, I saw this ad, therefore I'll convert. I saw this YouTube video, therefore I'll convert. It's all slow, takes months. Sometimes somebody would have seen me do a video like from 5 years ago and then be like, oh yeah, this guy also does AI services or YouTube services, let me go to him. It's like very long term, right? And YouTube, things like YouTube, it's very hard to clearly define why they help, but they definitely help. Otherwise, this business wouldn't exist. So, I hope you guys learned something. This also applies to your life. Do the right attribution. Bye.